What if you could get a step by step plan to change how you live your life? Would you decide to do it, or would you decide to stay the same, to keep doing what you're doing, hoping for a different result? If you want to decide to change, keep listening to this episode. Hello, my friend. How are you today? So, I want to talk to you today about making change in your life. And of course, as we're moving into 2025, this is kind of the theme that's on everyone's mind, really making those shifts to make a change to improve our lives. And I know if you're listening to this podcast, you are interested in changing your life. And one of the things we don't think about very often is that our life is based on a series of decisions that we make moment by moment, day by day. And everything that we say, that we do, that we experience is the result of a choice that we have made somewhere in the past, recent past. The beautiful thing about this is that we get a choice every single moment to make a difference in the way that we experience life, in the way that we show up in the world, present ourselves to other people, but also to ourselves, which is really the most important rubric to measure by, is by seeing, do we feel aligned with who we want to be in this world? Every morning when I wake up, I make a decision to do something that is going to benefit me, whether it's how I feel physically or mentally. And it can be something really tiny. It's something that doesn't have to be okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to work out or anything like that. It's a decision to be present with myself and to just ask how I'm feeling. It's as simple as that. Because when I know how I'm feeling, I can make decisions about what needs to happen next. Every moment as I go through my day, I redecide to be present, be kind, refocus on my work, or whatever else I have deemed important for me and how I want to show up in the world. Does this mean that I show up perfectly? No, it does not. Does it mean that I don't get frustrated or that I don't feel feelings? No, it does not mean that at all. What it means is I pay attention more and more and more, and I get better at it. The longer I do it, I make better decisions for myself, moment by moment by moment. Now, this is not an easy thing to do that I am explaining here, right? It sounds really simple. Make a new decision for yourself, make a better decision for yourself, moment by moment. But it is not an easy thing to do because we are used to doing the same things, having the same habits, acting the same way, thinking the same way over and over and over again. And if we have chosen, because at one time we did choose this habit, it may just seem like this is how things are now in your life, but at one point we chose the habits that we are currently living in, and if we're living in those over and over again, we forget that we have a choice. We forget that we can make a decision to do something different. This habit simply becomes who we think we are or how we think life simply is, how life is supposed to be. And in this episode, I really want to talk to you about Timepiece for Lawyers, which is open for enrollment as of December 3rd. And we close enrollment on December 13th. So if you're listening to this anytime in between there, I encourage you to go to dinacataldo.com/timepiece, PEACE, and join me inside of Timepiece. I'm going to tell you more about it here. But I want to share this with you because I designed Timepiece to help you make the decisions that you want to take control of your law practice and walk you through step by step how to do this. And it was something that I came up with because I knew that it was needed. It was something I wish I had when I was a lawyer because I didn't have a person who I could look up to and who could show me how to manage my time, how to manage my mindset around the rigors of being a criminal prosecutor and, moving through trials and taking care of victims and all of those things. How could I do that if I didn't have a model that could really walk me through how to be the kind of person I wanted to be moment by moment throughout my day? I was talking to one of the lawyers who went through Timepiece for Lawyers last round, and he told me that he really believed that in order to be considered a proper lawyer, a real lawyer, that he was supposed to rush through the door of his office every morning and blaze through his work. And he didn't really know there was another way to do things until he went through this program. And he chose to do something different. He chose to join me in this program so he could make a difference in the way he experienced his life. Now, he has the time because he's gone through this program to go home at a reasonable hour from his office. He didn't do that before. And now he gets to have dinner with his family. He gets to help his kids with his homework. He gets to do things around the house like help clean that he didn't do as much of before because he now has the energy to do so. That's a big deal. Being able to live your life the way you want to moment by moment is a huge deal because most of us are not conscious of how we're living our lives. I want to ask you this. When you get up in the morning, do you know how you feel? Do you like how you feel? Do your eyes pop open and you already feel overwhelmed and you feel some anxiety creeping in? What do you do every morning? Do you have a relaxed morning? Or do you hit snooze a dozen times and run around like a chicken with your head cut off? It's easy to do the same things that we always do and not check in and ask ourselves, how do we want to feel today? What can I do for myself today to help me get to that place? It's not intuitive to even ask ourselves how we want to feel, or maybe even to ask, how do we feel? So many of us as lawyers, I know this from for me anyway. I was taught, hey, ignore the feelings, work through the pain, work through the dread, the overwhelm, all the anxiety. Just keep working until it's done. And don't pay any attention to how you feel. Don't pay any attention to the things that you want to prioritize. We're constantly putting myself at the back of the list, never taking care of myself. And at that point in my career, I just thought that I felt the way that I felt and that I didn't have a choice about it. And I thought that for a really long time. And if you don't have a coach, if you're not used to this idea that you can do something different, then it can be very easy to listen to a podcast like this one and hear what I'm saying and then beat yourself up for not being better. But that's not what I want to offer to you here. Because, first of all, if you notice yourself doing that, you don't have to do that. That's also a choice. It's totally optional to beat yourself up. I didn't know that for a long time either. So that's why I want to bring that up to you because that was my norm. To be really hard on myself for not changing things, for not being further along in my career or whatever that meant at the time for me. But once I learned the skills that I teach now in timepiece, I could take a step back, I could get some distance, and then I was able to make changes like I'm sharing with you right now. And one of the things that I did, which I'm going to walk members of this round of Timepiece for Lawyers through, is an audit. And I audited where I invested my time and attention, whether it was how much time I spent on social media or how many times I checked email throughout the day, how much time I spent chatting with coworkers. I collected data. And that's how I looked at it is I took a step back, got objective, and just collected data. Then I used that data like pieces of a puzzle to solve different problems that I was seeing. And I was looking at how I was spending my time, how I was behaving. And I started to just say, okay, this is what's happening right now. This is my current reality. What do I want? What do I want to change? What do I like? What do I not like? Why do I like that? Why do I not like that? I just started asking myself these questions. And one of the very first things, and I've talked about this a lot in this podcast because it was really impactful for me to see the power that I had to change my life, was how I decided to run my mornings. I was practicing law full time and I knew I felt like my mornings were really hectic. And I decided I didn't want to feel that way anymore. I didn't want to feel rushed and overwhelmed first thing when I woke up, hitting snooze a dozen times. And when I started to do this, I started to collect the data. I started to just get to work doing the work to figure out the pieces of the puzzles that I needed to switch up and move those pieces around so that I can intentionally design my life the way I wanted it to look. Now, I did this intuitively. I was playing with this. I didn't use this as a tool to beat myself up. I used this as a tool to just improve my mornings and look at it as an exercise in being able to have some control over my life. And when I did do this, my mornings improved bit by bit. Were they perfect? No. And they kept improving them. I didn't give up. And then I noticed my days improving radically. I felt better in the morning, and then that trickled down to the rest of my day. My work product improved, my attitude at the office improved, and I had more energy to pursue things that I loved, like building a business on top of my law practice. Now, right now, where you are, you might be feeling really disempowered. You might be feeling like you have no control. And I want to offer to you that we all have these spots in our lives that we can look at more closely and do it without judgment and improve when we start paying attention, which is a really big part of Timepiece for Lawyers. It was a no brainer for me to create. I knew it was something that was going to be of benefit to lawyers because all of the pieces that are inside of it were of benefit to me and to the clients that I've worked with over the years. Now, because every single lawyer that I was working with, every single lawyer that I talked to, they all struggled with similar things, I could address them in this program. So I'm going to list some things that I see with lawyers, and I want you to just kind of listen to what I'm sharing and see if any of these resonate, anything here that you can connect with. Feeling rushed going from appointment to appointment, feeling overwhelmed with the work that keeps coming through the door, feeling anxiety around work on your to do list, feeling worry that you might miss something or drop a ball, feeling stressed when you think about difficult conversations you need to have around boundaries or performance issues with employees, feeling shame that you're not better at being a lawyer or that you're not further along in achieving your goals, feeling disappointed in yourself for not getting more work done in a day, feeling guilty that you haven't been spending enough time with family or doing enough for them. So, something that several of my students in Timepiece for Lawyers last round said was how refreshing it was and comforting it was to know that there were other lawyers experiencing the same things and that they could talk so freely amongst themselves because they could see that other lawyers had similar issues. This is not something that you're struggling with as a special snowflake, right? I thought that was the case for a long time. I thought I was the only person struggling with this. I didn't have anybody to really talk to or that I felt like I could talk to about my struggles. And then I couldn't get help with them. And I really took it upon myself like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I didn't have to. So, part of what I'm doing this round of Timepiece for Lawyers at the suggestion of one of my students from last round is creating a private Facebook community for those who join Timepiece for Lawyers. And that way we can continue conversations that are happening in our group calls because we're going to have weekly group calls for 12 weeks where you're going to get coached by me. And then you're going to have this additional support in the Facebook group between each weekly sessions if you want it. I know that in the area that I had in the library originally, there were lots of great tips that lawyers were offering for lawyers who were sharing some of the things they were going through. And so then other lawyers could say, "Oh, I dealt with that same issue and here's how I handled it. And this might be of benefit for you." And so we were getting some really great suggestions in there from the people who have wisdom. Like, you have a lot of wisdom inside of you. You may not feel like you have a lot of wisdom when it comes to time management, but I bet you anything that you have something there that you can share with somebody. And then you're also going to get all the coaching that I have to offer too. So this is just a bonus that I wanted to offer those people joining Timepiece for Lawyers this round because I know how beautiful it is to have that support and to be surrounded by people who want to change because we're not always surrounded by those people. Now, if you're listening to this episode and you're nodding along, and you're saying, yes, that's me, then I want to let you know that Timepiece for Lawyers is where you need to be. It's a supportive environment where you get to learn the skills to change yourself from the inside out. Those changes allow you to not only be more productive, which of course we all want, right? But to feel better every single day, to not be procrastinating on things, to be able to take action and not beat ourselves up. You're going to feel more energized to restart an old hobby. You're going to feel calmer starting your day, and it's going to impact how you interact with everyone, from the barista you see in the morning to the opposing counsel you see in the afternoon and to your spouse when you go home at night. And you're going to learn how to set and keep boundaries with your employees or your family members so you can have the space and focus for what you need to do during your day, for things you want to do to achieve your goals. And you get all the tools you need to do these things inside of Timepiece for Lawyers. Now, a lot of times, thinking about all the things we want to change can feel overwhelming. And we don't even know the first step to get started. So that's why in Timepiece for Lawyers, I'm really walking you step by step through my process to help you create a space that you need in 12 weeks to begin changing your life. One lawyer commented on how much more calm they felt during their day just after a couple weeks. They felt less overwhelmed, less pressure, and they felt more in control of their time. But before this program, they never even thought that was possible. When you're stuck in a rut of doing the same things over and over, the same habits over and over, it's really easy to start to doubt whether or not you're even capable of doing anything different. And if that's where you are right now, I want to offer you that you are in the right place and that you can change things. And I'm going to help you every step of the way inside of Timepiece. Every week for 12 weeks, we're going to have 1 hour devoted to coaching and strategizing to help you take control of your time and your law practice. We cover everything under the sun, including boundaries, resetting relationships with assistants that aren't performing the way you'd like them to, delegating more of your work, creating systems to help you train support, learning how to manage your time effectively and prioritize, learning how to use a calendar properly, which lawyers were just not taught how to do, right? Learning how to manage your mind when you notice yourself not prioritizing or procrastinating. You'll feel more freedom than you thought possible because you're taking charge of your time and your mindset. You begin to realize that there are more choices available to you than you thought. And it's so much easier to make new choices when you are surrounded by people who want to make change. I remember when I was practicing that I was around a bunch of people who were very nice people who were not really into personal development, though. They really were just working as hard as they could to get work done, staying late nights, working weekends, taking home with them. And those were my models, just grinding harder. That was really the solution that I saw. And that was not helpful for me because I knew I wanted something different for my life. But all I had around me were models of people doing the same old things. And yeah, there's times when you do need to stay later at the office as a lawyer, but you don't have to do it to the point where you're killing yourself. So, Timepiece for Lawyers shows you a better way of doing things. In addition to the 12 weeks that we're going to have together, you're also going to get trainings that give you everything you need to stop feeling overwhelmed and take control of your time. When you enroll, you're going to be taken to a welcome members area where you're going to be walked step by step through what is in the library. You're going to be given the 12-week timepiece roadmap where I break down a suggested amount of work to do each week. And yeah, you will have work. You will need to show up and you will need to do things differently. You might even feel uncomfortable, which is a good thing. I always know if I'm in a room where I'm a little uncomfortable, that means I'm going to grow. That means I'm going to expand into a different version of myself, one that is better than the one where I am now. Although I love this version of myself, I know that I always want to make those shifts that are going to help improve myself. And when I put myself in those rooms where I'm a little uncomfortable, where I'm maybe even a little nervous, then I know I'm doing something really great for myself. I'm doing something for my future self that is going to help shape the person that I'm going to become. And that's really what I created Timepiece for. But I wanted to do it in a way where you could walk in and not feel overwhelmed, where you could walk in and just say, step by step, here's what Dina has shown me that I can do. And this is the suggested amount of reading, or do this and do that. And I just take you through the process. I give you a whole list of all the regular dates of our calls, as well as the bonus dates that we have, because you do have some bonuses in there. I'm going to share a couple of those here, but Really, if you go to dinacataldo.com/timepiece, that's going to give you a total breakdown of everything. And I want to encourage you to go to that page because when you scroll down to the bottom of that page, I actually have a video that walks you through the members area so you can get an idea of what it looks like when you join. You're also going to be getting a 1-day planner, which is something that my clients rave about. They really love it because when you're starting something new, you want to kind of break the ice. You want to be able to tame the overwhelm from day one, but you want to also build confidence that you can manage your time, that you can manage your mind around your day. And that's what I do with this 1-day planner, this 1-day timepiece planner. So you're going to learn the skills you need to prioritize in this class. You're also going to learn how to really manage your time when you have emergencies. Because yes, you're going to have them, but how do you prioritize? How do you manage your mind when they come up? Are you rushing around like a chicken with your head cut off? Or are you calm and collected and able to follow through on what needs to get done? That is what the benefit is of learning the mindset, is because you are going to learn how to handle all of the unexpected things, but do it in a way that feels calm, where you feel in control. And if you're worried you're not going to be able to make all the live calls, don't be, because you're going to get the replay recordings in the library as well as access to 3 bonus makeup calls. And of course, we have the private Facebook community open and you can get support whenever you want. And another bonus I am bringing back for this round of Timepiece for Lawyers, due to popular demand, is the Focus Hour, which is a co working space where you can bring your toughest projects or those things you've been putting off and bring them into a group where you see other lawyers working, doing the same things, right? So this can be incredibly motivating. That was some message I got from a couple lawyers, that it feels really amazing when you're in this hour where you're getting so much accomplished and everybody is bringing something to the call that they maybe have been putting off for a while. And you know how it is when you're putting something off, you lose momentum around it and you kind of put it at the back of your mind, but it's always kind of on your mind. So these focus hours, these co-working hours are a beautiful opportunity to come together, get that motivation and get that quick start and boost and go through those particular items. I love that. And you're also going to get a ton of bonus trainings inside the library that you can learn all about at dinacataldo.com/timepiece. 2 of the bonuses that come to mind off of the top of my head that I really love are the creating stellar SOPs and hiring dream employees. So if you have an employee, have been thinking about hiring an assistant, these are essentials for you. Not only is it going to save you a ton of time, but having these trainings in your back pocket are going to allow you to get step-by-step training to create an SOP, a standard operating procedure that will make it so that your employees think more like you do, and they will create work product that is closer to your standards. A lot of times we don't even want to delegate work because our employees are not creating the work up to our standards. So this is going to help you do that. Hiring a dream employee is often a sticking point with some of my clients because they've never hired an assistant or they have this idea that it's going to be very hard to find an assistant. But what I've found is that it's always coming down to what they are thinking about, how they are thinking about hiring their employee. So, what I've done to make this really easy for you is break down the entire hiring process, coming down from, let's start with how you even invite someone into an interview, then taking them through the interview, talking through a probationary period, giving them projects that are appropriate for that probationary period, and how you talk to them. And how you are doing this really makes a difference in the quality of employees that you are attracting into your interviews and then able to then move forward with in your practice so that they are thinking like you. And having these 2 trainings combined is a powerhouse for your practice. So I want to encourage you to join me for Timepiece for Lawyers. We are open for enrollment December 3rd through December 13th. We do not start until January 7th. That is the date of our first call. But you will get immediate access to everything that I've talked about in this podcast and more, because there's more that I haven't even talked about here. You're going to get access to everything in the library immediately. You're going to get access to the Facebook community immediately. And then you'll have time to acclimate yourself, get everything in order, enjoy your holidays. And then on January 7th, we're going to come together for our first group call where we're going to start creating that piece in your practice. And if you're an overachiever, which, I know you are. If you're listening to this, you're a total overachiever. You're going to go in there, you're going to find some amazing tidbits, and you're going to get started and create peace in your practice before we even start on January 7th. You're going to be able to feel more calm, more present, even when you go into the holidays, when you're around your family. You're going to feel everything is under control and that you've got it all handled. And all you've got to do is join me for Timepiece for Lawyers. Go to dinacataldo.com/timepiece, PEACE. That's dinacataldo.com/timepiece. I can't wait to see you there. This has been such a joy creating this program and getting to know the lawyers inside of it. There is just such a beautiful energy there that allows you to make change because you are so inspired by what other lawyers are doing. And I want you to be a part of that energy too. All right, my friend, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you next week.